listening to Sports Talk 916 with Greg Bull and Coach Greg Veroza.
If you'd like to participate in the show, there are a couple of ways to do it. If you want to contact us on Twitter, use the show's Twitter address, which is at SportsTalk916. For Greg B, go to at Mr. Chief 916. And for me, Coach Greg, it's at Greg Veroza. And Veroza is Varozza. And if you want to chat live with us, the best place to go is go to the Mixler page and hit chat. There you'll see all of us chatting together as the show goes on. Hello. Hello. Welcome to Sports Talk 916, the Bitch Fest, as we like to call it lately, because all of our teams suck. Not really. We're going to have a good positive show, right?
I think you tuned into the wrong network.
I am Coach Greg Veroza, one of the two-headed monsters of Greg that make up Sports Talk 916. My buddy Greg Bull right there.
What's up?
Mr. Chief.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, Corner Bub?
Is Corner Pub on?
Yeah, Ron said, what's up, Gregs?
Go Philly. You know, should we? I mean, we might have to. They get a better draft pick than what we're going to get.
Pick swap?
No. Become 76er fans. They're better than we are.
No.
Well,
No. I don't have room for a 76ers tattoo. I already have my Kings tattoo. I don't need another one.
well, you can. I'm sure we can make a cover up of it. And you just
put a
turned me
big-
off.
Put a big poo emoji on it.
Hello, 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 hello.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I hear you fine.
I can't hear me.
Oh, now you fucked it up. What'd you
Hello? There we go.
do? Hey, now. Yeah, a lot to talk about. So, our teams locally suck. We'll get to that.
One team pulled out a great loss from the jaws of victory tonight.
Which was the right thing to do, and we'll get
Yeah.
to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Our former man crush and a head coach is back in the news, Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
We'll talk about him in a little bit. But first, we're going to talk about Major League Baseball. So we talked last week as winter meetings were starting that morning, essentially, that the Giants were looking for a closer. We said that they were going to be active and busy. And lo and behold, the almost in mere minutes of winter meetings opening.
Well, remember it came across when we were in the middle of the show.
Right, that
they had offered him a contract.
Yeah, so 4 years, $62 million to
Love the
Mark
signing.
Melanson,
Love the signing.
closer out of the Nationals. Fun fact about that. So in 2 years with the Nationals and the Pirates, he blew 9 saves total. And he had 51
Opportunities.
he had 51 saves in both of those years.
Okay.
I think in his career he's under 20 blown saves. Last year alone, Santiago Casilla blew 9 saves.
Right.
The Giants, not including the playoffs, so it doesn't include the Cubs' blown save that cost them the season, 30 blown saves last year. So the Giants got their closer, Mark Melanson. There's been other talks of them linked to a couple other guys, a couple other bats here and there. They also, another guy that we talked about in the minor league system, we had mentioned Beatty going to be making a move up. We talked about Ty Block. You had mentioned, Chris Heston sliding into a middle reliever role.
For the Mariners now.
Yeah. He's going to slide in.
What the hell was that?
That was our soundboard.
Oh, was it? I put my keys down at the same time. I thought maybe I shorted something out.
Greg's like, oh, shit. So they pulled a Maloof. Not so much for cash considerations, but they traded Chris Heston to the Mariners for a player to be named later, which is...
Well, they had to.
They had a clear roster spot. They've also been linked to Greg Holland, which would be great. It's pronounced Melanson, as you say, or is it Melanson, or is it you say Melankin? Everything I've seen is Melanson.
It's Melanson. Who's asking that? Really?
Do you need to ask?
Mike, come on.
Let's see. I'm less than sober, behind the bar, and available for call-in. Just saying, been a long weekend. Ron, we'll keep that in mind when we get to football talk. Some other moves that have been made around Major League Baseball. Melanson's deal was the highest deal ever for a reliever.
For about 3 minutes.
That lasted about 3 minutes and 16 seconds when Aroldis Chapman signed with the Yankees for $90 million or something like that.
Yeah, was that a surprise?
No.
Yeah.
Not at all. Some other notable signings. Dexter Fowler left the World Championship Cubs and went to the St. Louis Cardinals on a 5-year deal. Omar Infante leaves the Braves, goes to Detroit on a minor league contract with an invitation to spring training. Mitch Moreland signs with the Boston Red Sox, 1-year contract, leaving Texas. Wade Davis is now a member of the of the Cubs. We mentioned Chris Heston. This one shocked me a little bit. Matt Holliday, 1-year deal with the New York Yankees.
Really?
I saw a few things like the Cardinals were tweeting out, thanks Matt, thanks for the memories. I'm like, did he fucking die? Like, what, did he retire? And it's like, nope, signed a 1-year deal.
Wow.
This one,
No wonder they had to sign Fowler.
right? This one right here. The White Sox trade for outfielder Luis Alexander Barrasaba, right-handed pitcher Michael Kopech, and right-handed pitcher Victor Diaz, and third baseman Yoan Moncada from the Red Sox for starting pitcher Chris Sale.
So basically, they got 3 stiffs and a bag of donuts for
one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Right.
Rich Hill signs a 3-year deal to stay with the Dodgers. We mentioned Melanson's 4-year deal. Let's see, just scrolling the list here. Derek Norris leaves San Diego to go to Washington via trade for minor league pitcher Pedro Avila. Never heard of him. Let's see. Jaime Garcia traded from the Cardinals to the Braves for a bunch of no-name people. Brooks Pounder, that's a cool name. He got traded from the Royals to the Angels, Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. We mentioned Cespedes, 4 years with the Mets. Matt Joyce signs a 2-year deal out of Pittsburgh to Oakland.
Wow.
Outfielder.
Why would anybody want to go there?
Hey, moving up. John Jay leaves talk about this guy coming up. John Jay leaves the Padres, signs with the Cubs.
Nice.
That's a nice little upgrade. Josh Reddick left the Dodgers. This happened back in November, right before Thanksgiving. Signed with Houston.
They didn't like him at all. He didn't do anything for the Dodgers.
He didn't do much for the A's either since he was always hurt.
Right.
And then, there's a couple big names still left.
So let me ask you this. Let's go back to that very first one, Dexter Fowler.
Yeah.
They always talk about the 3 biggest rivalries in Major League Baseball. Yankees and Red Sox, Cubs and Cardinals, Giants and Dodgers. Dexter Fowler did a lot for the Cubs. Do you think that the next time he comes into Wrigley Field, does he get booed or does he get cheered?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but Dexter Fowler last offseason signed with the Cardinals on a verbal agreement and then backed out of it and went back to the Cubs.
You're right.
Right?
I forgot about that. Yeah.
So he already shunned them once, came back, won a World Series,
and now he's gonna.
And then now he's like, you know what? I'm gone
Now
for
I'm
real
gone.
this time.
Now I'm
This
gone.
one I actually signed.
Yeah, so-
And it's just like, I was thinking that was Hayward. That wasn't Hayward. Yeah, that was Fowler. It's like, make up your damn mind, dude. Like, you already shunned this team once, and now you're still gonna go back to the bitter rival. Like, that's kind of fucked up.
It is kind of fucked up.
So, there's that going on. The big name that's still out there is Joey Bats. Jose Batista's still out there. He hasn't signed yet. There was a lot of talk swirling around him going to Boston. I mean, Boston's already the super team.
Yeah.
Like, you have to imagine that Boston's going to win, 159 games next year. And
Well, the
the
Yankees-
3 that they're going to lose is going to be because Pablo Sandoval is going to be the final at bat, and he's going to strike out at a ball that got rolled through the pitcher mound.
Well, something happened.
Sorry, we're like 2 fucking dogs here. Instead of one of us looking at the TV and figuring out what's going on, we both just stopped.
Right.
What? Oh, they downed the punt at the 1.
Oh,
That's the second time they've done that this week.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, best down punt I've ever seen in my life, the Tampa Bay game today.
Oh, yeah. That was
the dude
awesome.
just like tiptoed and just leaning. It looked like Michael Jackson on stage. He's like, whoop, and then just ball behind me. We're good. Wouldn't it be wild if he went to Texas? Who are we talking about?
Joey Bats.
Oh, if yeah, that would be wild. There's a good question for you. So Fowler comes back from St. Louis to Chicago and gets booed. If Jose Bautista signs in Texas, do the Rangers forgive him for the bat flip?
Of course. I mean, it'd be like Barry Bonds leaving San Francisco and coming back, and the whole stadium yelling nothing but steroid monkey. You know, it's if he's on your team, he's good. If he's not, you hate him.
It's gonna be like when Boogie Cousins comes back in a Philly or a Sixers uniform
Or a Laker uniform.
Oh, God, that one even hurts. I don't even care. That one just hurts. So there's that. Baseball. I mean, we're getting close. I mean, it's getting pretty damn close to spring training coming back. You got that thing close enough, dude. Try to just plug in direct. Take off the connector, and see if you can't just get it right up in there. Just spit on it a little bit, put it in.
That's what she said.
Is that any better?
Yeah, much better.
Cool. So maybe I can extend then. Maybe I can get the extends. Are you excited for baseball? I mean,
Oh, are you kidding me? I want basketball to be over. I want football to be over. I'm ready. I think it's going to be, they're the one team that we can count on to be good. And at least there's going to be some intrigue and, not that.
at least I got the Raiders.
Yeah, I saw didn't you post something about having a Raider jersey, or did you just send me was that a note to me?
No, I thought about buying one though the other day. I was at the mall. And
So what are you
they
going to
were
get,
on
a
sale.
car jersey? A Carter Cooper?
Like Carter Cooper? I don't know. I almost feel like if I do make the trade, over that, I would have to like kind of do a little bit of like a cover up and get like a Rich Gannon jersey or something, you know what I mean? Like, and then like rub a bunch of dirt on it, like
go
really,
old school, go
really
old school,
rough
yeah.
it up, like a John Madden jersey, like have one of those. Ooh, I'll go Art Shell.
There you go.
There we go.
I think you need to go George Blanda.
That one might be a little bit of a dead giveaway. Shiny, brand new Blanda jersey.
That was my very first jersey I ever had.
Hey, Des finally got a catch. Thanks for that, you fucker.
And no fumble.
Oh, I thought Eddie was a Raiders guy. You can't jump on. I could get a Crabtree jersey. That's a changeover.
There you go.
Thanks, TJ. No, Ron, we've been talking about this, man. Like, I'm so past the point of rooting for the Niners anymore that if they don't right the ship by firing Balky, which we'll get to in a little bit, and retaining Kelly and just bringing in anybody other than a Sacramento Sirens wide receiver. I may just cut all ties. And my wife is a Raider fan, and I've explained this to a few people that that old saying, happy wife, happy life, like it's cliche, but it's true. And so this season, my wife and I had a bet, and it was the only time I get laid is when both of our teams win on the same weekend. So it's been since week 1.
Turn your hand over this way.
It's calloused.
Yep, it is.
Like my left hand is calloused.
Are you left-handed? Are you left-hander?
No, I'm right-handed. you gotta go with the stranger every now and again. No, I'm just kidding about the bet. But I mean, I could really work that angle. Be like, you know what? If I'm rooting for the team my wife roots for, I might get laid more.
Protecting the punani is what you're doing.
That's right. PTP. I'm about to get that on a jersey.
There you go.
PTP.
Primetime player.
Protecting the punani. I'm a lonely, lonely man. I'm married and I'm lonely. That's the problem. But yeah, so back to baseball. I mean, you can't help but be excited that it's almost back.
Do you have your countdown thing right there?
I can get it. Springtrainingtimer.com or springtrainingcountdown something or another.com. It's a website. It's on the internet. It's official. Giants 10, Crybabies 7. We're 48 seconds behind. Thanks for the spoiler, Barn Bomb.
Oh, come on, Mike.
Damn it, Barn Bomb.
What now?
You ruined it for us, you dick. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, big. Hey, you know what? Hold on. I got to check something before.
Did you finish looking up the?
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay.
The Good Guys won. That's right. 63 days, 24 minutes, and 59 seconds. Spring training
starts.
Pitchers and catchers report on the 13th of February.
Nice.
With Dallas losing tonight. TJ says I called it. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up our pick'em. And rounding up the bottom with 7 picks, and in last place in our league is me. But Al, Travis, which is TJ, and myself all took the New York Football Giants.
Yeah, did you work on them all weekend, or when did you decide to take the Giants?
That one I took at 5:02. I just had a gut feeling. I was sitting on the toilet. I looked down. It looked like a G. I was like, yeah. If it looked just like a pile of shit, I would have stuck with Dallas. But the fact that it kind of folded into a G, I was like, you know what? I got to go with them. I did terrible though this weekend, man. I took Seattle. They shit the bed. James took the Rams. I don't know what the fuck James was thinking. I took the Niners along with everybody but you. I took Jacksonville.
Ye have too much faith of our favorite team.
I took Indy. I took Denver. I took Cleveland. Not sure what
There
the hell
you
I was
go.
doing there.
Did your turd come out as a big C or something?
Right?
And you guessed the wrong C because they were playing the Bengals. So.
Yeah, see, that's what I got confused. I saw the orange logo, and as commissioner, I should probably go back in and fix that one.
If your turds are coming out orange, you got to go fix more than that.
Right? No, you can go ahead and change your pick. I don't care. Let's see. He picked the Giants and invented the flux capacitor after he slipped and hit his head. No, like seriously, I last minute just had a gut feeling, and I changed my pick tomorrow night as well. I'm taking Baltimore to upset New England next week or tomorrow night. So, that falls right along with the Cleveland pick. So, baseball. Do you expect the Giants to make any more significant moves, or do you think that Melanson pretty much? I mean, I would love to see him go after Greg Holland, but do you think Melanson really was just the marquee move, and then they're just going to do some filler here and there?
I think so. I mean, I don't think they don't have any money restraints, but they also have the luxury tax that they don't want to get into, and I think if I remember right, the luxury tax in the MLB is a lot worse than a lot of other luxury taxes. So,
Giants signed Matt Reynolds. Anyone know who that guy is? Bueller?
No.
Matt Reynolds to a minor league deal. They apparently previously designated him for assignment back in September. So there's that.
Yeah, so he's nothing. It'll be interesting to see. I think they could make one more deal. I mean, they could really use a left fielder.
We talked about that though.
He
we
could.
both were okay with.
Yeah,
with
I'm fine with
Parker. I really like the idea though, what we talked about last week, and that's
signing a center fielder,
and sliding Span over.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
I think they're done. I mean, I think I'd love to see him get a little bit more depth in the infield, but I think they're in good shape. I think Melanson cures a lot of problems.
Yeah. Did you see the tweet I put out or the story on Facebook that came out earlier this week? The sad story out of the Giants organization?
Yeah, I did see that.
Andres Torres, former San Francisco Giant and World Series champion's wife passed away.
Oh, cancer.
From cancer?
Bad. Yeah.
So there's that. That sucks. That's pretty much what I have for baseball. I mean,
there's really nothing. I mean, it's going to start picking up.
Barnbaum had asked me a couple days ago. We were at City Hall for KJ's farewell, and he asked me if, and I'll pose the same question to you. Do you think that the A's are going to be active because of their new front office leadership, or do you think that they're going to kind of continue on their own ways as they focus on a stadium deal? Because the A's put out an announcement or a press statement, I believe it was yesterday, it may have been Friday morning, that basically said, we're fully aware of what the Raiders are doing with the city of Oakland. We support their decision to try to get a deal done here. However, we're focused, and I'm paraphrasing, We are focused on coming up with our own deal to build a baseball stadium in the city of Oakland for the Oakland Athletics.
And they have to. I mean, the days of Hello, there we go. The days of multi-use stadiums are over with. I mean, you can't. Oakland is the last stadium that shares baseball and football.
Yep.
And it's an old stadium. It's a pit. Everybody knows that. And the only way the A's are going to survive is if they have their own stadium. And at first, I thought that Oakland would be more committed to the A's since there's more games and potentially a more larger profit and larger income. But it sounds like now that they're more committed to the Raiders.
I think the reason why that it appears right now that they're more committed to the Raiders is that the Raiders are the only one making traction to do anything.
Yeah, that's true.
The A's haven't come to them with a stadium proposal. The A's don't have a, Ronnie Lott, insert former A's player or insert former baseball player here that wants to build a stadium group coming and saying, hey, we want to get this done. They also don't have an outside venture right now that says, hey, we want your team, move out of your city, because
right, nobody wants the A's.
Well, right. I would still support a renovation of Rayleigh Field and bring the A's up here to Sacramento. I still would support that wholeheartedly. Now, I wouldn't stop being a Giants fan. It would, like I said, we've talked about this numerous times. It'd be the same thing when the Giants, Grizzlies affiliate was in town. I'll root for the River Cats until they're playing my boys, and then sorry, you guys can go fuck off. But like I was saying, they don't have that outside pressure. So I think right now the city itself is looking at it as, if both of them came at the exact same time, giggity, and they wanted to.
He said came.
Yeah. If they wanted to, both at the same time have a conversation about a stadium, and any kind of city contributed money. I think they would lean toward the side of the A's because there is a lot more revenue opportunity there.
Right.
But I think at this point, the city's hand is kind of forced because they're like, well, the A's haven't done anything. They haven't had any conversation with us. We're about to lose the Raiders, and we have this outside group that's looking to get something done. We have to entertain the conversation. Now, what I'm curious to see is going to happen is, let's say the Ronnie Lott deal gets done, and the NFL, which all accounts right now are saying if this framework deal moves past framework, that they're going to vote to not move the team to Vegas. Right. Let's say the city puts in some money along with the Ronnie Lott group and the NFL, and they all the money that goes into the infrastructure and the pre-development costs or whatever the case may be, or just the city resources in general, even if they're not up front with any kind of money. What position is that going to put the A's in? Is the city even going to be willing to engage them in that with any chance of the city having to spend more money on that situation?
Will the city have any more money to spend? That's
exactly
the question.
So what I'm curious is, will this shoot the A's in the foot, them being a little bit more on the hesitant side to start getting even the dialogue going? Because the only dialogue you've heard besides the fact of we need a new stadium is the rumblings between Major League Baseball, the A's, and the Giants with San Jose territory rights.
Right.
And they've never really gotten beyond that.
Well, there was talk that they were going to put a stadium in Fremont for a while. And,
right.
But that wasn't involved in the territorial rights. That was just they couldn't find the money for it.
Right. And then there was something about one of the ports down there putting a stadium kind of like what the Giants have, and again there was no money backing it. So yeah, I think,
and see, that's what I'm afraid that would happen here in Sacramento. Especially with all the stuff that went on with the Golden One Center and all that money going out, and then now we're talking about MLS putting up a stadium. Yeah, they're saying he's out.
Yep.
Putting in a stadium, which is going to cost the city some money.
Well, that's fully privately funded, so
but it's still going to cost the city money because they're going to have to put in infrastructure.
Right,
and all that
but
kind
I
of
think that one is much less litigated than Golden One was. Obviously, there's not as big of a contribution. But yeah, it's the same thing. It's like,
so
how many resources can you tap into?
The only thing that updating Rayleigh Field would do is it's West Sacramento,
Right.
which is a different county. They would have to come up with the money. I don't know if they have the resources to do that or not.
I don't know.
I'm sure Sacramento would put in a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know if there's that ability. And can Rayleigh Field be updated? Can it be?
It was built. It was built with the idea of the framework of the building was built with the thought of a potential move of a team up here.
Right.
And it's the same structural design. Well, I shouldn't say the same, but it's similar design elements that the Coliseum had when they were able to put Mount Davis on top of O.co or Oakland Coliseum.
Right.
It's the same principle there. Is the way they built it, they could essentially tack on an upper deck above the suite level. I think the big thing, and I would love to talk, one of these days I would love to sit down, especially like when we're at a game, and let's just say we're happening to walk around and someone introduces, oh, this is the developer who built Rayleigh Field,
Right.
And I really don't have a complaint about that place. For what it is, it's absolutely gorgeous, and it fits so well in the city, and it's really is a really good venue. The only question I would ask them, and it may have been locational because of the river, but why they chose to put the clubhouses behind center field, because I really think that even if they put an upper deck, Major League Baseball will look at this and go, your clubhouses aren't accessible from the dugout.
Yeah, I don't know what that's all about.
And I think that would literally be the one thing, aside from a team wanting to move here and having the money to do so, that Major League Baseball will look at it and go, no, you can't do it. Like, you really going to have, a $200 million player in a rainstorm
Running out through center field. Yeah.
needs to run out to center field to get to the locker room? Like, I don't know if there's an ability to run a tunnel. They might have to snake a tunnel out there.
I don't know.
But, that would be the one question I would have. It would go, why?
Right. Well, I know Candlestick was like that, I think. That one of the... was it Candlestick?
No, because Candlestick had the football
Yeah, but
field.
I think one of the... Because I always remember the Dodgers had to cross the field to get to their clubhouse or do something. So maybe TJ can remember.
Right.
TJ, where's your list at? I thought it was coming out today. The first part.
Tomorrow.
I thought it was coming out today. That's what I read yesterday.
I don't know. But never knew that about the clubhouses. That's pretty odd. The stadium would need to be renovated majorly if Major League Baseball ever comes here. Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, TJ, if you've ever been out there, if you've ever seen the players before the game, after game, coming out through center field, or a starting pitcher finishes his job, he gets taken out of the game in the 6th inning, and all of a sudden he goes out through center field, behind the building to the right of the home run hill out in left field, the little home run terrace that has all the seats, that's the home clubhouse, and then the one right behind the scoreboard in
And those
center
clubhouses
field,
are tiny.
they are very tiny.
That was tiny. So, I would imagine, I would guess, because there's some...
Oh, TJ says it came out today.
Oh, okay. There's some, there's some room down there. We've been in kind of the inside part of Rayleigh Field. I think there's some room. There's some offices down there that they can make into clubhouses.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, like I said, that would be the one thing that I would be most curious about.
Right.
And I'm gonna have to look up. I'm gonna have to look this up, and I that may be a little project of mine.
There you go.
This week, I may reach out to the Rayleigh Field developer, or I'll hit up our. I'll hit up our contacts within the Rivercats and see if they can get me that.
Yeah, there you go. That'd be
I
kinda
think
cool.
that'd be a cool article.
That would be
just
cool.
to be like,
Yeah.
hey, and then we can also talk about the, if it is capable of being built up. That was the talk, when they built
I mean,
it.
that was almost 20 years ago.
That was almost 20 years ago. It may not be up to code to do that anymore. Like, it may not even be an option. Another thing too, if it wasn't and this is all spitball here, obviously, but if it wasn't a river concern by digging down to put in clubhouses, I wonder if there's a big enough footprint there, which I think there would be, to tear down Rayleigh Field and put in a new stadium should it ever come up. You know what I mean? I don't know why the hell my mother-in-law is calling me, but we're sure as hell not answering that phone call. She has one of my kids, so I guess she should call. I'd love to publish that. That would be a great read. Cool. Yeah, I will definitely. Thanks, Mike. Robert Bersanti is Rivercats contact. As if I haven't talked to Robert a billion times. I'm friends with him on Facebook. I go out to the bar and drink with him every now and again. I'm familiar with Robert.
Is that our guy who gets his press passes?
Yeah, it's our Rivercats guy. So yeah, we'll I'll work on that, guys. I will definitely reach out to that guy. Or talk to someone within the Rivercats about that. You know, it may not be the developer, but maybe someone in there will know. Don't you love your mother-in-law?
She called me this week too.
Yeah?
She had a rental question or something. Oh no, she signed up for some real estate investment thing. Wanted some information on whether it was fake or not.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, yeah. Ron,
remember, if it's too good to be true, it is.
From Wikipedia, the stadium was not designed with expansion in mind. Therefore, if a Major League Ball club ever moved to Sacramento, there would be significant work required. Oh,
who said that?
TJ says that's on Wikipedia.
Oh, wow. Well, I know where there's the framework of a stadium.
Yeah, they could.
And that's coming down.
Natomas reuse. They have dugouts.
Yeah, and they have, that.
Hey.
It started.
You should contact that real estate investment guy and make some money, and then let's build a baseball stadium.
Let's come up with $1.5 billion and
I'm sure Kevin Johnson doesn't have anything going on as of Tuesday. You can probably get him.
Is that his last day? Tuesday?
Yeah, he could probably call some people. Real quick since we mentioned KJ, before we move on to football talk, Arco Park, exactly. Major League Soccer had their Board of Governors announcement meeting or whatever it was last week, and there was wide speculation, and most of it came from the mouth of Don Garber, the Major League Commissioner of Major League Soccer,
right?
That said they planned on announcing Sacramento's expansion plans by the time Mayor Johnson is out of office.
So tomorrow?
Tuesday.
Well, I mean, that's when they announced.
No, I believe his final city council meeting where he hands the gavel over to Steinberg is Tuesday night. So,
okay.
But they had their little talk and basically said, we don't have an update at this time. Have a good day. So they're on the clock Tuesday.
Well, and I heard that Miami's still struggling to get their stadium built. And so one article that I read said that Miami's still going to get an expansion team, but they might get pushed back a little bit further if they don't have time to get their stadium together, which bodes good for us.
Sacramento's literally waiting for Garber to say Sacramento's getting a team. And it doesn't, and it's expected that it won't be until 2020 anyways, which is the next round of expansion. Well, 2018 is already done, and then
but that includes Miami, and Miami might not be ready to go.
Right, but the MLS team's stadium won't be ready to go until 2019 at the earliest, I believe it is. So,
no, they can play a year at Bonnie Field.
You think they can handle him? Well, yeah, I guess.
I mean, they're getting 20,000 people. They're not going to get much more than that for an MLS team.
So yeah,
I mean, and I think the new stadium is only going to hold 18 or 20,000 people.
Well, they were getting 20,000 at Hughes Stadium.
Yeah,
I think they're only getting like 14 or something like that at Bonnie.
Yeah, but they're only going to get 18 or 20 at the new stadium.
Exactly.
So I don't think that makes it. And Bonnie Field's not that bad. I mean,
unless you're under or on Mount Battalion, and then it's scary as shit.
No shit.
God, we need to get audio of that, just of the rattle.
We'll need to go there next year and get some audio of just how loud that is.
All right, so when we come back, we're gonna hear we're gonna talk about the week in Major League Football League, National Football League,
the National Football League.
We'll talk about some wins, some losses, some injuries, and we're gonna look into if the playoffs were to start right now, where we're sitting. So we will be right back.
If you or anyone you know is thinking about buying,
Got
selling,
it.
or investing in real estate, they deserve to have someone working with them that not only knows what they're doing, but will explain everything that happens along the way. That person would be me, Coach Greg Veroza of Keller Williams Realty. I have two goals. My first goal is to coach you through the buying and selling process, making it easy to understand and as stress-free as possible, which isn't easy sometimes. My second goal is to have fun doing it. Come be a part of my team. Let me coach you or anyone you know through the real estate process. Give me a call at 916-241-8068, and let's talk about how I can coach you through the real estate process. Let me ask you one question. Who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate that I should know right now? Again, that's Greg Veroza, Keller Williams Realty, 916-241-8068.
Hey guys, as you may know, I recently purchased my home with the help of Greg Veroza from Keller Williams Realty. There's a lot of work that goes into just finding the right home, a lot of back-end stuff that needs to be done, and most of it is circled around finding the proper funding to purchase your home. For that, I went to Albert Chavez of Summit Funding. Albert's actually here with me to explain a little bit of the process and explain what you need to do in order to be ready to buy that dream home.
Hey, thanks, Greg. Yeah. One of the misconceptions of our business is, after I find a home, then what? What you should do, my biggest advice is to talk to a lender in person. What that's going to do is going to allow you to look at all your financing options. The financing mechanism is the biggest part of these loans and of this process. And what you want to do is sit down with someone, have them go over all the information. It's pretty frustrating. It's pretty overwhelming. So by doing that, you're going to bring your tax returns, your W-2s, your pay stubs, your bank statements, and you're going to have me, go over them and just make sure you're totally qualified before you go out and purchase a home. It's going to save you a lot of time, a lot of frustration. At the same time, you're going to be more familiar with the process, and you're going to enjoy the process. So yeah, sit down with someone in person, have them go over all the paperwork, and you'll be in the clear. So if you want any advice and expertise, you can call me at 916-230-1537. That's 916-230-1537, and I'll be here to help you.
All right, guys, we are back. We're trying to secure Ron from...
Whenever you guys want.
Let's get Ron from Corner Pub on. Let's talk about the Cowboys. Let's talk about the Eagles' downfall and the rumors that they're going to trade Carson Wentz for Colin Kaepernick. It's obviously a rumor that I'm starting right now, but...
And I want to hear what his drink of choice is tonight.
Right? This is just going to be drunk hour with Ron from Corner Pub Sport. I kind of feel like we should FaceTime him instead of calling. So we can see the... What's up, buddy?
Greg, what's up, buddy?
Hey, man, what's happening?
We thought it might be more fun to FaceTime you instead of calling you to see how you're doing.
Oh, not too bad, man. It's a little weird. Like, I can actually see now.
So what's up, bud? How is the Philly scene treating you tonight?
It's not too bad. I can't complain. You know.
Cowboys lost.
What's up?
Cowboys lost, so that's always good.
They did. Yeah, Cowboys lost. Good guys won, relatively.
You just call the Giants the good guys?
Relatively.
You're going to get your ass thrown out of Philly.
Yeah, well, we got nothing going anywhere, so,
So you're at the bar right now, huh? You're working?
Yeah.
Slow night?
Yeah, really slow night, actually.
What is your drink of choice tonight?
I've been going with beer for most of the night. So, Union Lager is a local lager. So I go that way.
Right on.
So we had I had my office Christmas party last night, and he called me an old fart. I was drinking Manhattans all night long. Or no, old fashions.
Old fashions.
Old fashions.
I was drinking old fashions all night.
It makes absolutely no difference. You know what? That's a really classy drink, man.
There you go.
100%.
See?
I'm right behind you.
I
If
am
I'm ever
classy.
going to go into a bar and test whoever it is behind the bar, I'm drinking an old fashioned.
Well, I like to test the bartenders and go, what's your number one drink? And if they don't say either old fashioned or Manhattan or something like that, then I just order beer. But he went straight to old fashioned.
No,
No. Like I said, man, old fashioned is a good drink, man. That's definitely one to hang on to. That's
There
a
you
good
go.
standard.
There you go.
So Mike Barnbaum wants me to remind you that the Kings and Sixers game has been officially rescheduled for the 30th of January. The Kings will then play on an 8-game road trip to conclude against the Sixers. So there's our excuse right there if we lose, by the way. It's going to be the 8-game road trip. No, so old fashioned. I never
I've
actually
secured
had an old
T-shirts for you
fashioned.
guys too, by the way.
What's that?
I've secured T-shirts too for you guys, by the way.
Great.
Great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure that's going to help. I'll look great in it. Make sure you get Greg a medium.
Yeah.
No, my every time I go to the bar, I ask for a Joker, and if they don't know what it is, then I school the shit out of the bartender, and then I drink delicious Jack Daniel's Coke or Jack Daniel's Dr Pepper and grenadine all night, and it's amazing.
God, that sounds horrible.
Nice.
You got to remember, dude, I'm a part of the Jack Daniel's Tennessee Squires Association. Okay, I drink.
Yeah, but
Jack.
you're throwing grenadine and Dr. Pepper in it.
Have you had it?
No, but
Okay,
it
then
sounds horrible.
shut the fuck up.
Sounds like a girl drink.
You know what sounds like a girl drink?
A way to
Your mom. I'm just kidding. Old fashions.
Wow.
No, other Greg, I'm with you, man. I'm going old fashioned or Manhattan.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
Every time.
That and Greg probably drinks like Bud Light.
High five.
Anyways, so I gotta ask you a question, dude. So
Sure.
beginning of the season, everyone's riding high on the Eagles. Where did Carson Wentz go?
You know, part of it, I think, was really kind of a competition thing. And as much as I said at the time that nobody in Philly wanted to necessarily hear it, I think it's true that, you know, it was the Browns. The Bears didn't turn out to be a particularly good team. You know, the Steelers, I think, turned out to be a little bit less competition than people really thought they were.
Well, especially early in the season, the Steelers weren't playing well at all.
Yeah, early in the season, nobody really felt that way. But in this particular case, I think that's exactly what it was. I mean, the schedule was a little bit favorable for the Eagles early, and it just got really difficult for that stretch that I pointed out when I talked to you, like week 2, week 3, something around there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Now, the thing that concerns me is, you know, his decision-making seems like it slid backwards. You know, his pocket presence seems like it slid backwards a little bit. I mean, one of the things that I said locally was this particular team, there's nothing that you could really point to that's better now than it was at the beginning of the season. And that's something that I find really concerning.
So do you think that that's a function? Do you think his going backwards is a function of coming from a school like North Dakota State where, you know, granted, they're pretty powerful of a team, but competition is a lot less than what a major college is. Just being a rookie in general, or do you think it's just, like you said, the competition that he had the first 4 or 5 weeks?
I mean, I think some of it's the competition. Some of it is the fact that he's probably a rookie. I mean, I can't figure that discounts the situation.
Right.
You know, again, you're coming from one AA school, and all of a sudden, literally within weeks, you're thrown into the NFL. I mean, that, you know, I would be naive to think there's no learning curve or transition between the two.
Right.
I mean, that I just think is, again, just naive.
You know, that brings up something that I thought would be interesting to ask you. And I was listening to the 49ers broadcast today, and they were talking about the starting quarterback today for the Jets. I can't think of what his name was. But
Bryce Petty?
Yeah, Petty.
Okay.
And basically the fact that he was just a rookie that got thrown into the mix, and they started talking about the current CBA that the teams are on, or that the players are on, where there's obviously not an 18-game schedule, but it was also about the fact that players have to do less work. There's no OTAs. The coaches can't get them in early, can't really teach them anything. And
That was something, you know, strangely enough, I know that was something that drove Chip Kelly absolutely crazy.
right.
And I don't know if that's something that's carrying over into the 49ers, you know, Kelly era.
I'm just wondering if you think maybe, because you mentioned Wentz coming from a single A school or a double A, you know, whatever school, and not having the ability to really learn in game reps and really at game speed, because they get into it and they kind of have to take it slow. Then all of a sudden it's bam. Here you are. You're in a preseason game, and you can pretend to get better every week in practice, but until you're taking game reps and until you're doing some of those things, you really don't know what you have. And I wonder if that's a product of what's going on with Carson Wentz, is people are finally catching up to him, and it's starting to show like, hey, you didn't have a way to develop. You didn't have those extra practices and those extra OTAs to work with your shitty wide receivers. And I wonder if that's a product of the injury-prone NFL right now, is that, you're looking out, quote unquote, for player safety, but you're also kind of throwing your rookie, system out on a short leash that says, hey, learn or, sink or swim. And, I wonder if, they're talking about maybe the idea of having like a NFL developmental league where they can get out and get game reps and play against fast competition, where they're not just thrown right into it. Obviously,
right.
But then there's arguments that, like, well, look at Prescott. He got thrown right in. He's doing just fine. And there's that. But I wonder if that has something to do with Wentz.
Prescott's a bad example in the sense that that's literally like the most ideal situation a quarterback could possibly
Oh,
find
absolutely.
at any time. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better situation than Dak Prescott. And look, Prescott's a better quarterback than I really thought he was going to be. I mean, like, this is no knock on Prescott. His decision-making is good. His pocket awareness is really good. He has an
Wasn't tonight.
Coming from. I mean, he turned out to be a better player than I really thought he was going to be.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you're right, but I also think that him having that offensive line, him having that kind of running back,
Des Bryant, Jason Witten,
right?
I mean,
and not only that, because this is hard for me to say. Like, I'm kind of regurgitating a little bit as I'm thinking about saying this. He also benefited in a way that Carson Wentz hasn't had a chance to benefit, and he has Tony Romo, albeit he was hurt. He has Romo to sit down and talk to and review film with, and Romo's record and on-field performance aside, he's an intelligent quarterback who knows what the hell he's doing. And if you have someone to lend an ear to, you're going to want someone like Tony Romo to be that guy talking to you.
Right.
And Wentz doesn't have that in Philly.
He doesn't have any of that. It's really funny too, because I mean, Doug Peterson, for example, he's an ex-quarterback, and Frank Reich is an ex-quarterback, and DeFilippo, the quarterback's coach, is an ex-quarterback. I mean,
and he's a punter.
They're supposedly set up to have all these pieces in place to be mentors for Carson Wentz, and it just doesn't seem like any of it's working out that way.
I didn't know that. I mean, I knew all those guys were. I didn't put one and one together. Do you think it's too much? Do you think there's too much mentoring going on, that maybe they're probably all saying the same thing, but maybe just a little bit different, and it's not coming across like it should?
Truthfully, I really haven't thought of it that way. It might be. I mean, the way that I look at it, though, is, I mean, if I'm a manager, for example, I mean, I manage down through the people that are underneath me. I mean, like, just for example's sake, I mean, if I'm Doug Peterson, I really shouldn't be talking to Carson Wentz directly really all that often. Outside of every once in a while, like, hey, how you doing? Everything going okay? I mean, he should probably be talking to his quarterback's coach like 80% of the time.
Right.
The offensive coordinator maybe the other 10% of the time, and then the head coach on top of that 10% of the time. That's the way that I break it down. So it kind of depends. I mean, I haven't necessarily gotten that impression locally myself.
Okay. That
all of a sudden there's all these different like ideas in the mix, and maybe there's cross messages. But thinking about it, I mean, look, I mean, any explanations on the table, it might explain why all of a sudden, the guy's decision making seems to go backwards, and all of a sudden he seems to be regressing versus progressing.
But
I don't know. I mean, that's a valid point. I mean, I'm honestly...
their offensive line, they're pretty banged up, aren't they? The Eagles' offensive line?
Oh.
Hello?
Yeah, I got you.
There you go. How is the health of their offensive line? I mean, I think...
it's terrible.
Yeah. So...
No, their offensive line is miserable. But, I mean, I'm one of these guys that... I mean, speaking for myself, personally, I mean, I never like leaning on, like... Two of the things you'll never hear me complain about, just for example's sake, is, I mean, I'll never complain about injuries, and I'll never complain about officiating. Just because the way that I look at it is good teams find a way to overcome those hurdles. The Eagles clearly are not a good team.
Right.
So they can't necessarily jump over those hurdles. I mean, look, everybody has an injury in the NFL. It's a full contact sport. These things happen. Next man up.
Except the Cowboys.
Right.
You know, if you're not, you're not. But those are the two things that I'll never, ever complain about or make an excuse for or whatever. I mean,
Right.
but when you're asking, like, what's the shape of their offensive line, I mean, it's bad. I mean, there's no real way to look at it. I mean, there's only 2 out of the 5 starters left on the line. You have Jason Peters, who's 100 years old, and you have Jason Kelsey, who's just not playing very well, quite honestly.
Right.
And that's it. Everybody else is a second stringer or third stringer.
Well, you know, and that I guess.
Welcome to the 49ers.
Yeah, I guess, you know, I guess I do complain about that injury, especially with the offensive line, because if you have to make a decision in 1.3 seconds versus 3.5 seconds, there's a pretty good chance you're going to have the wrong decision. So I don't know. I don't watch the Philly or the Eagles close enough to know if that's really the case. But on first blush, that's, I think, how I would take it is, yeah, he's not making the right decisions. Yeah, he's regressing. But then again, when you don't have any time to throw, those decision mistakes are going to be a lot easier to make.
No, and I mean, I get that. But at the same time, I'm looking at it. He has 2 to 3 seconds.
Does he? Okay.
No, I mean, again, I'm not going to sit here and say that, you know, it's a perfect situation and he's got like 5 guys that are NFL players. He doesn't. I mean, that's just ridiculous. You know, I'd be naive to sit here and tell you that that's what he has to work with. I mean, he obviously doesn't. But at the time, every team at some point deals with injuries. I mean, the whole thing with Wentz when he came out of college was that he worked at a pro-style offense. And he understands the NFL style of game, even if he didn't necessarily come from a single A program or a big school or anything like that. He understands the offense that's in front of him. And to see him kind of pull back from that and to see him making bad decisions with the football and to see him making mistakes and throw into triple coverage and everything is something I find particularly frustrating. Like, that's something that I kind of felt reassured by. Like, okay, look, even if he's not necessarily going to light the scoreboard up, because, again, he really doesn't have any weapons to work with. I mean, nobody's going to look at this offensive system, and you're not going to be scared of anybody.
49ers.
Yeah,
Sorry,
exactly.
Sorry, I had a little cough there. So let me ask this, Ron. I have 2 more questions for you. One, are the Phillies going to win? Or Phillies? Are the Eagles going to win another game this year?
Yes. I think they beat the Giants at home, if I'm going to pick one.
The Giants, who just beat the Cowboys.
They just squeaked past them in a really low-scoring game. Yeah, I think that they can get them at home.
Okay. And then my second question is, as I'm sitting here, and this isn't a testament to what you're talking about, because I like your point of view, is I'm here fucking yawning. It's 9:00 at night. I'm watching you. Well, before you went back in the bar and we lost your video connection. I'm watching you, and you look fucking bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. It's fucking midnight. How the hell does the East Coast function, where it seems like everything starts at like 10 o'clock at night, and everyone's awake until like 4 in the goddamn morning? And I don't get it. Like, all of our games out here start at 7. You guys start at 10 o'clock. It's, like, everything is late. How the hell do you do it?
Well, I get up at 2 in the afternoon, and past that, you just get used to it.
Well, I guess that's a good answer. Can you see our feed right now?
I can.
Okay, do you see this?
I can. There you go, man. That's a good Sauce Castillo. I see it.
And then this, I don't know if you can see this little thing right here. It says, bring in the heat from 22 feet.
Yeah, 22 feet out. Just bricked it right off the rim.
Right. Ron, well, man, I appreciate your time. We always enjoy having you on, man. It's always a blast. Hopefully you will not have to send us those shirts on January 30th when the Kings get one more win this season.
That might be the only win they get the rest of the season.
But it sounded like things are getting a little crazy out there in Philly. Ron, tell everyone where to find you.
All right, you got it, guys.
No, where can people find you at, Ron? Give us all your
You can
contact.
find me at either Corner Pub Ron on Twitter or just check out our website, cornerpubsports.com. We broadcast live every Friday, 8 to 10 on Wildfire Radio. Just wildfireradio.com or cornerpubsports.com.
Hey, are you guys still doing the pre and post game shows?
Occasionally, depending on how many we've had.
Yeah.
It's a little harder now with Sean and his little one, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Well, you just gotta
I'm just gonna leave it at that.
You just gotta knock out a little run, and then you guys all just hang out with kids and have like an after-hours daddy daycare.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Nice. All right, Ron. Well, thank you very much.
Sacramento, man. I'll be sure to drop in with you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
if you're ever out
anytime.
here, you got a mic and a spot to sit, so let us know.
Yeah, get a new house, man. I'm definitely crashing to your place.
That's right.
Yep.
We're good. All right, Ron. That's
All right,
Ron
bud.
from
Thanks.
Corner Post Sports out in Philadelphia. Ron, have a good night, bud.
All right, Greg. Have a good one, buddy.
Yep.
Bye.
All right, see you.
I can literally talk to him like
I know.
sports all the fucking time.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's how when you don't have a lot of material, you stretch the show.
Right? And now we're down to our reset point, and then we have a little bit more football to talk, and then we have, that's pretty much it. But
Nice.
I was gonna bring up something else, and TJ just put something in the chat box, which I find to be fucking hilarious. The Edmonton Oilers, which one of these days we're gonna need TJ to come on and explain to us why the fuck he's a fan of the Edmonton Oilers.
Probably. Well, I know Gretzky was gone by the time he was born, so.
The Edmonton Oilers win tonight's game 3-2 against the Winnipeg Jets on an own goal.
Nice.
If that's not beautiful, man, I don't know what is. So, fun fact, while we have 3 minutes before we reset Mixler, I used to play soccer when I was a kid. And my last year of soccer, I was on a under 18 or under 17 league here in town. And I played goalie, and I was our starting goalie the whole season. We got to our end of year tournament championship game. I had not allowed a goal. I think that whole season I allowed like 6 goals. And like there were times where we would go up like 4 or 5 goals, so I would switch out and go play forward or whatever. In that tournament, I had not given up a goal the entire tournament. We were like 6 games in. We played all through like pool play and then bracket play. Championship game, I was on a shutout streak the entire tournament. We ended up losing the championship game 1-0 because my idiot teammate kicked it into our own net trying to clear across. He just like wailed back on it trying to kick it out of bounds. Hit it off the side of his foot, shanked it into our net. Game over. They
So
won.
your team was pretty good. You couldn't even stop their goal shots, huh?
Yeah, I couldn't stop my own team. That's how dominant we were. So that just reminded me of that. I'm just like, you motherfucker. And then I got up and I was pissed about it, and I slammed my hand on the goalpost, and I mishit the middle of the goalpost, and I hit the corner of it, and I hairline fractured my hand.
Nice.
And made me miss half of my high school soccer season.
Nice.
Well, it just made me miss playing goalie, obviously. But yeah, there's my own goal story. So we have a minute left to make. So we're gonna reset now. We're gonna come back and talk some stuff about the NFL. So Balky, Harbaugh, Kelly.
Dead. Niedermeyer. Dead.
I want to talk about Gruden and a little bit more. So when we come back, we'll talk about all of that. I can't believe they lost on an own goal. That's awesome. How cool would it be for fucking Corner Pub to be out here and do a fucking
that would be
live,
fun.
do a live show at a bar somewhere?
That would be fun.
That would be great.
And we'll have to go back there. One of these days we'll.
For sure. I can't imagine flights to Philly are too expensive. All right, let's talk about this. So, reports, Matt Mioko's been talking about it. A lot of reports coming out of San Francisco. Actually, no. Let's start this way. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Is the new Al Davis of the NFL, Jerry Jones, going to ruin the Dallas Cowboys?
No, because he's got somebody in there that
Did you see the story about his fantasy season?
no.
This is before tonight's loss. And this is what brought this up, and what worries me is that now that they've lost and Dak isn't invincible, I'm worried that this is going to play out. So someone interviewed Jerry Jones last week, and he apparently has been thinking about his dream season a lot, and he loves that the team's 11-1, and he's had dreams about getting back to the Super Bowl and this and that. But there's one thing about his dreams and his ideal scenario that is different from what's on the field. In every one of his dreams and every one of his thoughts, Dak Prescott is not the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
Really?
He thinks the picture perfect fairy tale ending to this season will be Tony Romo leading the team to
Coming off the bench.
to hoist the Lombardi Trophy down the stretch run through the playoffs, the starting quarterback. And now he came out and said, well, Mike, I'm talking about before tonight's game. He says, now I don't want Dak to get hurt, but as you know, with all of our concussion protocols and things like that, there's always an opportunity for Romo to find his way back onto the field. And in my dream scenario, if he finds his way back on the field, he performs well enough to not lose the job, and he's the one that takes us through the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Do you think that a loss tonight to a division game, now he's 0-2,
He's 0-2 against
the Giants. Do you think that gives Jerry Jones' crazy mad scientist brain enough levity to begin to think about finding a way to get Tony Romo back into the starting quarterback, or at least into this quarterback role, to possibly justify playing out his dream situation? Because he said, think about the protocols and the things we have to this day. Troy Aikman never would have won us the Super Bowl in 1995 if we had the protocols we have now. And who knows what could have happened with our backup back then. Basically saying, you know, if Aikman would have got taken out of the game, I would have definitely found a way to get him back in. You don't keep him up. He, in a nutshell, he compared Troy Aikman to Tony Romo, which to me is like comparing water to fire. They just don't work. So that's kind of what he was implying was, well, you know, back in the day, we didn't have to have this conversation because, you know, Aikman never would have came out of the game. But now, because Romo had to come out with injury, you know, there's more opportunity to get him back in the game and see what can happen. And that's my dream scenario.
Wow.
Do you think he's more dangerous having those thoughts and the power he has for this team than people may think?
You know, I don't know. That's a good question. I think, you know, the one X factor in there is Stephen Jones, his son, who we've seen in the past has the balls enough to stand up to him and tell him no, that he's not going to do something. You know, I don't know. That's really a good question. I don't know. I don't know. It's got me stumped.
That worries. If I'm a Cowboy fan, reading that article, that worries me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's crazy. He was crazy enough to come out when they're 7-1 and say, when Romo's healthy, it's his team.
Right.
And then they went 9-1. And he's like, oh, I guess I can't do that.
Never mind.
You know what? So there's that.
I think the only thing that plays out if Dak doesn't get hurt is if they lose 2 more in a row.
Yeah.
You know, if they lose 2 more in a row and he's throwing 3 or 4 interceptions like he did tonight, and you know, Elliott's still running good. I might see, you know, they might, you know, I could see a scenario like this happening where they lose a couple games in a row. They bring Romo in and Romo goes off.
Right.
And if Romo goes off, then you have the same argument. Well, hey, you know, he just threw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns.
How can you make?
How can you pull him? Yeah, how can you
it's
pull
the
him out?
Kaepernick. It's the Kaepernick situation.
Yeah,
where Alex Smith was playing great, had a concussion or had a whatever, and
concussion.
and then Kaepernick comes in and just lights everybody on fire, and then it's like,
Right.
well, okay, there you go. And that's almost a parallel because Harbaugh had his hidden agenda that he wanted Kaepernick to be his quarterback.
right.
Garrett is Brad Garrett, or it's not Brad
Jason Garrett.
Jason Garrett. Brad Garrett's from Everyone Loves Raymond.
Right.
He has no say with this organization. Jerry Jones says jump, he says how high.
Right. But
So
but you got Stephen Jones in there.
Right, but I could see Jerry flexing his muscle and go, hey, look, we have a chance to win another Super Bowl. This is how I want it to go down. You know, and it's, I don't know. Oh, Jason Garrett was, so
Jason Garrett was Troy Aikman's backup.
yeah, Mike asked TJ who was the backup of Aikman when he was a Dallas quarterback, and Jason Garrett was one of them.
Yeah.
Let's see, more stuff coming around the league. Obviously, the Raiders lost on Thursday Night Football.
So I got in a couple arguments. I think we both got in that same argument with a couple of idiots about was that, and this goes kind of against what we just got done talking about Tehran about making excuses. But
we're not fans of the Raiders, so we can make up these excuses.
okay, so
Yeah.
The Raiders played Sunday late. The Chiefs played Sunday early. The Chiefs played in Atlanta and had to fly home. The Raiders played at home and had to fly to Kansas City on short rest. Kansas City had one extra day to prepare because they didn't have to travel. Do you think that the Oakland performance was more a function of Thursday night games being Thursday night games, or do you think they're just not as good of a team, or they just had an off week?
None of the above. I don't think it had anything to do with the travel, because all the players came out and said, you know what, we were ready, we healed, we were good, we weren't tired, we rested well, like everything was good. They knew it was coming, they prepared for it. It's a division rival, they know the teams. And it wasn't, I mean, yeah, they had an extra day's rest, but if you think about it, Kansas City, essentially, even with that extra day's rest, I think was on the same playing field as Oakland, because that Atlanta game was fucking brutal. And they got put through the ringer in that game. It wasn't like they blew out a team and then they had a leisurely trip home. Like, they had a hell of a game to battle against. So I think that kind of counterbalanced the two. I think what happened was Derek Carr. And it's...
Do you think he's more injured than that finger is having more an effect?
That, I think, is part of it. But if you look at Derek Carr historically in cold weather games below 50 degrees, he is terrible. I definitely think the finger has more to do with it than they're leading on to believe. But you're not going to bring in Matt McGloin. You're going to, I mean, if
you're going with
Carr
Derek
could throw
Carr.
the ball,
Yeah,
you're
you're
throwing
going
the
with
damn
Derek
ball. But in 3 road games in his career below 50 degrees, this is Derek Carr's stat line. Denver in 2014, 18 for 36, 158 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Denver in 2015, 12 for 29, 135 yards with 2 touchdowns. Kansas City in 2015, 21 for 33, 194 yards with a TD and a pick. He's a 52% completion rating, and he has a 4.96 yards per pass average. His numbers in cold weather is historically bad. He grew up on the West Coast in warm weather. He played football in warm weather. He didn't have to play a lot of cold weather games. And I think that as a Raider follower this season,
As a future Raider fan,
as a future Raider fan, no, I was going to say as a Raider supporter this season, because I'm really interested to see how well they could do in the playoffs. Should they make it? That's what worries me, because if they have to go to Pittsburgh, if they have to go to New England,
or if they have to go back to Kansas City,
it doesn't get any warmer by the time you get to the playoffs. So I think that's something you have to be extremely concerned about. So I think that was the bigger issue with the Raiders. Now, obviously, that game put them behind Kansas City in the standings in the West. They're still locked right now. If the playoffs were to start today, they would get the wild card.
Right, they're going to be in the playoffs.
Right.
I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Right now, Kansas City is the number 2 seed behind New England. If New England loses tomorrow night, that puts Kansas City in the number 1 seed, which means they get a bye, and essentially everyone goes through Kansas City through the Super Bowl.
Right.
That doesn't bode well for the Raiders to make a long playoff run, and they have to go through either one of those number 1 seeds.
And Kansas City's been hot. What did I hear? I think they went. What was it? And these numbers aren't right, but they went like 1-7 to start off the season last year, and since then they've been like 22-3.
Yeah, something crazy, and they've won 19 now in a row versus the NFC or AFC West. Like, Andy Reid's teams just don't lose to teams that are in their division, and that doesn't look well for the Raiders. Other big storylines this week, obviously, we already talked about the Cowboys losing. The Seahawks fell out of the number 1 seed to the number 2 seed.
No, they weren't the number 1 seed.
I'm sorry, they fell out of the number 2 seed to the number 3 seed.
Right.
Matt Stafford, the division-leading Lions, dislocates his middle finger on his throwing hand, tears the tendons in his finger.
Ooh.
So that's bad news if that ends up being a bigger problem.
Right.
That's the middle finger. That finger It could be taped, but that's going to have a lot of problems with him, who's a power thrower.
And they're already hurt because Theo Riddick didn't play today.
Right. And then you have Ryan Tannehill. Expected. Adam Gase said today that they expected to be diagnosed as a torn ACL. He's done for the year.
Yep.
That pretty much dashes all of their hopes for the playoffs. Other things going on in the NFL today. There's been a lot of reports that with a loss today, that Rex Ryan could be out as early as Monday.
Yeah, I heard that.
Which would not surprise me. Which led me to believe, or led me to look up a few other hot seat quarterback or hot seat coaches going into this week, almost in must-win situations. Let's see. Let me get back to the beginning of the list because I already scrolled through it once. Let's see. Number 1 on this list is Bill O'Brien, Houston Texans. They go out, they get Osweiler, they have all, obviously they have a lot of injuries.
But they're still, they're still leading their division.
Are they still?
Or
After
they're,
today?
I don't know.
Not sure. So Bill O'Brien was a must-win situation according to
I don't agree with
this
that.
article. I don't agree with that one either. Gus Bradley, Jacksonville Jaguars.
He's done.
He's got to be one of the
done.
first fired this year. Marvin Lewis, Cincinnati. They got to win this week. Obviously, it's easy to put the Bengals in a must-win situation when you have the Browns on the schedule. But then again, I think any coach on the hot seat, you lose to the winless Browns and you're in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
But do you think Marvin Lewis has much of a future in Cincinnati?
He's one of those Teflon guys. He's kind of like the Trent Baalke of
Titans leading the South.
Are they? Okay. Houston was up until today then.
Right.
Where he must have pictures of somebody because they get in the playoffs all the time. They just can't win a playoff game.
But is that on Marvin Lewis or is that on Andy Dalton? Because Andy Dalton he's the Peja Stojakovic of the playoffs.
I think I think it goes to both of them.
Yeah.
I think it goes to both of them. And I think that
obviously the coach is going to lose his job before the Ginger.
I think this might be the year that if they don't win a couple of playoff games or even make the playoffs, I think he's gone.
You think Riverboat Ron can be in trouble?
No.
No?
No.
He's on this list?
I think his defense is too banged up. When you got somebody like Luke Kuechly missing 2 or 3 games.
Not to mention Cam Newton, in a sense, I think he won't admit it, but I think he's starting to realize that he cannot be as reckless on his legs. And I really think that although it took a couple more years than it did another quarterback in his style, considering he ran the same system through a highly touted college system, I think the Kaepernick syndrome is starting to hit Newton. They're starting to figure him out.
Yeah.
Defenses are figuring him out.
But he's got a good enough arm and he's got a good enough pocket presence
a big enough brain.
Yeah. To where I think this year and the only thing
we'll get to Jeff Fisher in a second. TJ, got a story for him.
Yeah. I did hear a couple of people this week on radio shows question his maturity level.
Did you see his outfit today?
Oh, he looked like
he looks like fucking Mr. Magoo dressed him in a Pink Panther cartoon.
Right. So his maturity level, and I think, I think he's gotten away with being ultra talented, and that maturity level hasn't really affected him. I think now it's starting to affect him. So he's got to do a little bit of growing up, I think he will. Yep. I think he's a good enough guy. He's got his shit together enough to where I think he'll grow up.
I agree. What about Todd Bowles?
Gone.
Think so? I agree. The other one that came out, and obviously we're going to the Niners and Chip Kelly here in a second, but obviously Jeff Fisher's got to be gone in LA, right?
He has to be.
The mishandling of Goff, the mishandling of everybody up and down.
He's not a good coach.
He's not.
He doesn't even have a winning record.
He starts out good and he gets guys fired up, but then he just literally just disappears.
Right.
There's a name right now that's being rumored to be interested and being heavily linked to the LA Rams job.
Let me guess. Lane Kiffin.
No.
No?
No. Bigger.
Bigger than Lane Kiffin?
Yep. You're on the right path, though. It's college coach.
Harbaugh?
Yep.
Really?
Harbaugh is being linked heavily to the Rams. And it makes sense. He goes down to college. He didn't have as successful as a run as he did at Stanford, at Michigan. He didn't have nearly as successful as a run as he did.
I don't know about that.
Well, as far as
he's
the
turned
record
that
goes,
he's turned that
back
program around in 3 years.
But if you think about it, he gets an opportunity, should he come back to the NFC West, to stick it to York and to get back under the fucking skin of Carroll. And I mean, yeah, the Rams are a little bit further away than he may like them to be. But look what he did with the Niners.
And look at the pieces that he has to work with. He's got Goff, who's a good quarterback,
and he can turn him around like Alex Smith.
He's got Todd Gurley at running back.
He could bring Michael Sam back. No, maybe.
No. Was that from the Gurley thing? Is that where you got that?
No, actually, it wasn't. You racist or homo. I don't know.
Me homo?
No, but so there's talking about Harbaugh, and I think that would be great. And as a Niner fan, it kind of excites me because I'm like, they're just gonna stick it to York's dumbass.
Because again, as much as this pains me to say, I think the Rams have a lot of good pieces there to build on. I mean, I think they have some good defensive pieces. I think it's schemes that they just aren't playing well.
So that brings us to the 49ers. Like I said earlier, Matt Miyoko has been talking about the idea of would the Walmart khakis be fashionable in LA? He might be able to be a trendsetter. Matt Miyoko has been talking
sweatshirt
a lot about Balky's future. Reports are right now that Balky's all but gone.
He has to be.
But last week there was reports that came out that said Balky was all but gone. Kelly's going to be retained for another year.
I heard Mike Shanahan today. I heard his name mentioned as coming in as a Jerry West type special
like
advisor.
An advisor. That'd be nice. But then Miyoko today said that, while Balky's all but out the door, Kelly's future may hang in the balance based on what the new general manager wants.
Well, there's a lot of talk, and I think his name is Tom Morgan. It's Tom Gamble, who's the assistant general manager. Tom Morgan's just a little dick that I know.
Right. Yeah, I think it is.
I think
Gamble.
it's Tom Gamble or Jim Gamble or something like that, as being in line to succeed or secede.
Succeed.
Yeah, whatever, to follow Balky. And
they need to bring an outside guy in.
They need to, yeah. And I think if Gamble gets the job, then I think Kelly's safe, because I think that it's coming from within the what Kelly's got to worry about is if they bring an outside guy in.
Yeah, and someone mentioned that today, and they're like, oh, well, he says he's safe. It's like, but the narrative around the NFL is that Kelly's not an NFL coach.
No.
And he's going to have to really hope that there's somebody in there that gets brought in that sees that he's available, he can do it. I mean, what I like about the idea, if Shanahan comes in and, as an advisor, and there was already talks about Holmgren maybe looking to take another job offer, in the front office here. I wonder if, and his name has been linked to the Bay Area so many times for coaching. I wonder if a new GM can get Chucky down out of ESPN.
There's no way.
You don't think that if he wanted to come back to coaching, because every year his name comes up, and every year he's come in and said, if I ever were to come back to coaching, it would have to be in a warm climate area. It would have to be in a West Coast or a Southern, East Coast team. I'm not going to a cold city. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that.
But think about it.
You don't think that it would be enticing?
No. He's making more money now than he would as a head coach. He can screw up as much as he wants.
Won $5.40 on DraftKings, bitches. Nice. I'm only down $4.60 this week.
Nice. I'm down 12. He's got a cushy job. He strolls in on Fridays, or Saturdays. He spends the weekend getting to know the players, doing all his background stuff. Nobody's going to fire him. Everybody loves him. He can mess up all he wants, and nobody's going to criticize him because he's Chucky, and he's making more money. He doesn't have the pressure to win. There's no way. There's no way he's going to come out of the booth to come coach a shitty team like the 49ers. And if he's not successful, his reputation as being a super coach just goes straight out the window. There's no way. I can't see it happening. I just don't see how there's any way that Gruden comes out of the booth to coach anybody unless, I don't know, unless Jerry fires, Jason, what's his face? Jason Garrett, and he comes in and has that team to coach. I don't see him leaving.
Maybe.
I don't know.
That's just a name that comes up every year, and it's one of those things where it's like, well, that'd be cool.
Now, would I like to see it? Absolutely.
So James just mentioned in the chat box, and he
I thought
said
you weren't going to listen tonight. He must have got shut off.
He says Shanahan cooing in with Kyle, and I'm assuming here, and just in my thought process with this worries me is that his son Kyle Shanahan would somehow get a job here.
He's not doing bad.
No, but his track record doesn't speak for longevity of success. Like, he's a roller coaster. He's in Washington right now, right?
No, is he in Minnesota?
I'm drawing a blank on where he's at, but I don't know. I want fresh everything. I want a new everybody. But yeah, so that was something that just intrigued me, that, Kelly could be safe. I honestly think that for any lack of, or any chance of any kind of success next year with a new coach, or I'm sorry, with a new front office that can bring in talent, you have to retain Chip Kelly. And that's just for the guys that are here, because obviously a new GM's not bringing in 53 new guys. You need to have some kind of, he's in Atlanta.
He's in Atlanta, yeah.
You need to have some kind of consistency for the guys that will still be here to have any chance of success next year. And if you don't have success, okay, so what? Then you get a new coach with a new draft pick at a quarterback, the kid out of Washington, hopefully the following year. And, you start your rebuild. But, man, I don't know. It's one of those things where, the Niners front office is on the teetering point. TJ had a great article, I thought, although his scoring system kind of confused me a little bit. I had to read through it a couple times, comparing the Browns versus the Sacramento Kings, as far as front office, just lunacy. And I honestly think that you could have had a triple threat, to go off of our WWE fandom, TJ. You could have had a triple threat match out there. The Niners, the Browns, and the 49ers, or in the Sacramento Kings, of who's got a worse off front office. Because all three of them, honestly, the Browns, I think, are better off than the Kings are. And I think you had it the other way around. But the Niners are not much better than Sacramento. I think they would be a toss-up.
No, I agree.
It's one of those things where it's just like, fuck, man. Like, we joked the last 2 years about the randomizer for teams. I almost wish we would have literally stuck to it.
And I'd be a Patriots fan, I think.
Yeah, and I would have been a Panthers fan hating life this year.
Yeah, right.
Black Monday in the NFL will be quite interesting on January 2nd, not only with coaches, but GMs as well. I don't know that Balky makes it to January 2nd.
I don't think he makes it to January 2nd.
I don't think he makes it to the end of the season. I think that, honestly, I could see York, just because I don't want to say he doesn't know how to run a franchise, because clearly he does. I mean, he was able to get the city to help build a stadium. He was able to get Harbaugh in here the first time.
Yeah, that's a real success now.
But what I'm saying is, he has the intangibles to get things done. I think that I shouldn't say I think. I can literally see him on Twitter on Monday morning every week, scrolling his Twitter and waiting for somebody to be fired in the league. You know what I mean? And then basically for him to go, oh, the Bills fired Rex Ryan? Okay, I'm allowed to fire somebody then. Balky, you're fired. You know what I mean? Like, I could see him just not wanting to be the first guy, the young kid who's running the 49ers, to be the first one to pull the trigger. I can literally see him waiting and going, okay, once someone else does it. It's like when you take a test somewhere, right? Like, let's say you're getting you're renewing your real estate license, and you're in this big ass room of people, and you're taking a test.
I know where you're going with this.
You know everything. You plow through it, and it's like a 2-hour time limit, and it's like 18 minutes in, and you're done, and you're like looking around, and you sit there for another 46 minutes until the next person gets up and puts their test down because you don't want to be the first one. You know what I mean? I can see York being that kid. He's like, all right, well, I already have the form filled out. I haven't dated it or signed it yet, just in case it.
So it's funny you say
leaks.
that. When I took my real estate test, I was done first. I sat there and drew on my test for 20 minutes.
Right,
To
you wait until someone else does it.
That's right.
That's what I did through my my corrections and my CCW and all those things. But I could see York doing that, just being like, okay, form's filled out. It's filed under like naked pictures of dad. That way, no one opens the folder, or like naked selfies. No one wants to see that. He's like, I'm just gonna wait. And then Twitter's like, ding, it's like Ian Rappaport reports that
Rex
Ryan
Ryan is gone.
fired. He's like,
Yep,
where are those
all right.
pictures? He's like, nope, that one's actually a selfie. Hold on, get those out of there. There's the form.
Hey, Trent, come here.
Trent, we got to talk.
Yeah, we got to talk. Report to the coach's office with your playbook immediately.
Right, sign this. You're out. Peace. And then he'd be the one to report it too on Twitter. Just
Hey, guess what I just did, guys?
fired York, second guy to do it.
Yep.
Or fired Bulky, not York. But I don't know, man.
I wish they could fire York.
Just like I wish we could fire Vivek. It's not going to happen. With that being said, that's pretty much what I had. Obviously, no bingo or bullshit this week. No truth. Are you kidding me? This was really just a straightforward.
Bitch
actually had
session.
some
Bitch
topics and bitch fest, and we have one more show to wrap up 2016.
I know, right?
It would be next Sunday, right before the holiday. Obviously, we're not going to do a Christmas show, and then we're not going to do a New Year's Eve show. So yeah, we'll be back after next week in 2017. We'll have to come up with a new intro and a whole bunch of new.
Are we going to come up with a new intro?
Yeah, it's a new year.
Yeah, okay.
Got to start
I'm fine
something.
with that.
We'll get it going. But for Greg Veroza, I am Greg Bull. This has been season 5, episode 11, and we will be back next week.
Night, Larry.